If you're a creator and you're afraid of looking at what you do as a business, first of all, just don't be.
Taking your creator business from side hustle to full-time can be a real challenge. What income streams do you need? How do you grow your business? How is your video content like an orange? Well, our panel of creator experts answered all these questions and more at Vid Summit, and their insights into what you need to be a successful creator are too good to miss. So check it out.
I think everybody in the audience is maybe wondering, is there a secret formula or a best way? Is there one balance of high effort and low effort revenue streams that works best, or is like the way to do it?
So for me, I don't think that there is one way to do it. Like I told you guys before, I make cheerleading videos. So I primarily monetize through AdSense and ad revenue. But I do think that, you know, with the YouTube ad revenue, it fluctuates so often. So I needed some stability, and so I turned to Uscreen to be able to have just that stable income. And it's been good for me. But I do think it's important for you to have, you know, opportunities where you make money that could fluctuate by getting a lot of views from YouTube, but also focus on building your business off of YouTube too.
I would say that obviously, if you've been to any of the sessions, you probably hear like, there is no magical answer, there's no magical formula. So you're like, yes, we know there's no magic answer. I think something that's important is not to compare, like all of us here, we have such different business styles and businesses, and we're all making money in different ways. So don't compare how you're gonna make money to how we make money, or the person to your left or right. I think what's important is for you to pick up what we're saying and adapt it to your current lifestyle. Because for me, my lifestyle that I want to create is like, I want as many passive income streams as possible, because I want to maybe sleep in a little bit and then go to the gym, go to the beach, and then jump into my workday. You know, so everybody has a little different mix. For myself, I have a good balance between active and passive incomes. Active just meaning like, in order to make money, I have to show up, like brand collaborations. Those are very active. That's a very active source of income. Passive, online courses. So we set up funnels to where courses are selling evergreen, and that's making us money in the background. So just a balance of active and passive depending on what lifestyle it is that you're going for. Where do you see yourself in the next 3 years, 5 years? Where do you want to be? And creating income streams that will help you get there.
Yeah, I think that's so important. And it's also so important, like you said, to diversify your income streams. As we saw with the pandemic, I was writing a lot about just every industry was impacted, and brands didn't have those budgets to spend on creators anymore. So you needed to have other income streams that could kind of fill that gap for a little while, because it does fluctuate so much. And I would also say, like, building strong relationships with the brands that you work with, rather than just doing like a one-off collaboration. Get to know the person at that brand who runs influencer marketing, or who runs influencer marketing programs, and just really have a relationship with them. I think I've been seeing that influencers who have long-term collaborations with brands are so important, and they just help you just continue to have that revenue stream, and maybe have like a 6-month partnership or a year-long partnership. So just income that you can rely on for the rest of the year. I think that's really important, starting out those relationships.
For me, when it comes to like having multiple different streams of income, I try to really make sure I focus on prioritizing which ones are most important. And you know, when people start talking about having multiple streams of income, if you spend all of your time divided equally on all of them, it's hard to really scale any one of them to make them meaningful. And so for me, I know which ones are the most important, and those are the ones I spend the most amount of time on. And then there are some that legitimately I try to spend as little amount of time on, but I also have goals set, like percentage-wise, like what this is supposed to actually bring in. So like for me, like YouTube AdSense are very low. And so I focus on using YouTube as like a top of funnel in order to bring people in, but I don't really care what the AdSense are, which means I'm not trying to create specific pieces of content that I know are gonna get higher CPMs, because I don't care about that. I care about finding people. The same with like affiliates. Like there are some videos where I'm 100% honest, like I'll forget to put my affiliate links in there just because I'm not thinking it through. And then like my editor is like, hey, did you add that affiliate link? And I'm like, oh crap, I need to go add that in real quick. And I'll go update it because I know which ones are most important. Like for me, my training course ones are like right now very high level. And one, obviously there's like a financial benefit from it, But then there's two, that revenue stream also helps people. And for me, the way I look at it is like, where am I helping people? And then if I can help people and make money at the same time, then it's a huge win for me. And so that's really where like most of my money comes from, and like where I try to spend my time. So when you have 6 streams of revenue, but if they're all bringing in pennies, maybe you should go down to 1 or maybe 2 and get those actually like funneling in a significant amount of money first, and then start adding more. Because that was a huge mistake I made, was I focused way too much on trying to have 6, because I heard the average millionaire has 6 streams of income. And I was like, if I have 6, I'll be a millionaire. But they didn't tell me how much each of those were actually bringing in for that millionaire. And so just go down to like maybe 1 or 2 and perfect the heck out of those, and then start adding the extra ones in. And so that way you can have stuff running on autopilot.
That's really good advice. I agree. And also that saying about the millionaires having 6 streams of income, most millionaires didn't get there through 6 streams of income. They just got 6 streams of income once they became a millionaire, because it's a lot easier to have your money make money. So that's really good advice. I would say for me, the thing that perspective I would take to it is looking at how niche or broad your content is, because I think that changes the way that you should look at making money. If you're a very niche creator and you have a very specific target market, you can probably start monetizing in different ways through paid content, like paywalled content through a platform like Uscreen, or even selling a product if there's a specific product that caters towards that niche. But for example, some of the creators that I work with, like Eric, there's no niche, it's very broad. And so it's almost like a venture-backed business versus like a bootstrap business, where a venture-backed business has to go after like a massive amount of market share to actually be able to prove the model, and you take on a bunch of capital in order to do that. And so similarly with a broad-based creator, you have to like go after getting to this like massive critical mass of market, and then you can sell a very broadly appealing product to them. But you have to actually take a lot of time to reinvest all of the money that you get from like the AdSense and the content money that comes in to getting to like a critical mass that allows that to happen. And that's why you see people like Mr. Beast are launching products that like every human likes burgers, every human likes chocolate. But if you're a niche creator, like I wouldn't focus so much on the revenue streams like Brandon mentioned on like ad revenue, because you can probably get there through the specific problem that your niche target market is struggling with and solve that problem for them.
Millie, you said you have 6 revenue streams. How do you vet new opportunities and figure out what's worth your time?
So I love the word opportunities because sometimes it's overused. Like when people are emailing you as a creator, I'm sure everybody's like, oh my gosh, people are emailing me left and right, and they're like, hey, we have this great opportunity for you. And it's like, is it really an opportunity? So when I hear that word, like my first thought is like, okay, if you take the word opportunity away, how does this not only like benefit me and my business, but how does this relationship and opportunity impact my followers? Can it really help my followers and the people who are following me? Can it change their lives? Can it impact them, their businesses, and their goals? So that's really how I decide what to say yes to, what to say no to. I think a common phrase is like, if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. And I suck at determining that. Like sometimes my gut will be like, no, no, no. But I grew up very much a yes man, and I'm like, yes, yes, yes. So learn to say no. Definitely learn to say no. Listen to your gut and really ask yourself, is this going to help, or this relationship, this opportunity going to help not only me and my business, but make sense for my audience, and will they benefit from it as well?
There's a big mindset shift from being a creator to being like a legit business person and making those kinds of decisions. Tell me about that mindset shift. What does it take? What does it feel like?
Yeah, this is actually a good question, Jamie. Thank you for this one. So for me personally, just being vulnerable, I was struggling financially when I got started on YouTube. I was making $30,000 a year, working at the bank. I was a banker. I hated it with a passion. I hate when people make their problems my problems. I really do. I do. I lost my debit card. I got to deal with it. I got to get you another debit card. I had just graduated college. I was struggling financially, making $30,000 a year. My rent was $905 every month. I had credit card debt. Every TV, every room had a TV in it, at least a 55-inch. I was just fresh out of college trying to furnish the apartment. So I had a lot of like rewiring to do as far as like my spending habits and things like that. When I started making money on YouTube in like 2017, I was probably making around like $400 a month, and that went a long way. Like that took care of my car payment. And so I started just staying on the ground with that. Eventually, you know, it went from 400 to 800. The next month it went to like 1,200. The next month it went to 2,600. And at this time, I'm like, okay, well, I'm making more money on YouTube than I am at Wells Fargo. This was 2017 still. And so I had to pay off my debts, right? I needed to be clear. And that's personal debt, yes, but it's like a business move. I had to make my personal credit good so that I can establish business credit. And now I'm just gonna, because we all have to talk. But I got out of debt, and I'm very thankful for that. I was able to, you know, create a great cushion for myself. Thank you so much. And then also now I use my business side of things to like, you know, grow, right? So like now all my employees, I have 7 employees right now. All of them have credit cards, business credit cards under my business name, and it helps me build my business credit. So I'm getting rewards points from that. I'm also, you know, being able to increase my credit line so I have more leverage and things like that. So it's a big shift. We don't have enough time for me to just sit here and just talk about all of that, but I just wanted to share those things.
So business is actually one of my favorite things to talk about. I love it. And the main reason being, and I'll make this really short, is if you're a creator and you're afraid of looking at what you do as a business, first of all, just don't be. Because the thing that unlocked it for me was every famous artist, like there's this saying that you're always told, and it's that you're going to be a starving artist, which is just not true. You don't have to be a starving artist. You can charge your worth, and you can look at your art as a form of business, because the business literally can just give you the financial means you need in order to keep being creative. And so focus, I mean, like no matter if you don't like business or whatever your thoughts are around business or making money, because I know for a lot of artists, charging people and making money might seem a little weary. You're like, oh, this is just my art. But like, understand that your business gives you the freedom to create openly. And when you create openly, you make your best work. So think about what you do as a business, unlock that for yourself, and start figuring out what you need to do on the business side in order to give yourself the freedom to create openly, because you'll make the best stuff you've ever made and you'll be happier doing it. And then ultimately you can even then help other people who are artists who are struggling with the exact same thing. And then now you're allowing someone else to create more openly. And the world is just a better place when artists can create openly, because we've all heard those horror stories where a business guy comes in, hires an artist, and doesn't let them create openly. So do it for yourself, because no one else is going to do it for you.
What I'll add to that is I think I don't necessarily think every creator needs to turn into a business person. I think it's all about self-awareness of figuring out what are you uniquely good at. Some creators are a lot more artistic and find their fulfillment from the creative expression that comes from making content. And it's about that awareness allowing you to know what your strengths are and what you need to go and find partners and teammates to help you with on the areas that you may not even want to focus on. And so if you are very business oriented, I think you can lean into that more directly yourself. But I think the real thing is that content is the ultimate leverage, right? And financial leverage allowed you to hire people so that you could build a company. Technical leverage allowed you to build tech that would allow you to serve more customers at once. And now content is the ultimate leverage of the entrepreneur for the next decade. And so if you can master the business side of it, or that's your strength, then lean into it. And if not, that's totally okay. And that doesn't necessarily need to be that every creator needs to be Mr. Beast level entrepreneur. I don't think that is the case. I think it's all about awareness of finding your strengths and leaning into them.
A fun activity that anybody can do here, just to see if you need that mindset shift of oh, I'm treating it as a hobby, need to step into my CEO pants, whatever. I really like what you said, you don't have to get into the business side of it, or you don't have to be the CEO, but just journal or a piece of paper, put a line in the middle. On one side, write down everything that you're doing for your business or your hobby or content creation. Write down everything that you do every day or that week. replying to emails, blah, blah, blah. Write everything down. And on the other side, write down what you want to be doing day to day, like as a business owner or as a content creator. What are the higher version of yourself? What are they creating? What does that look like? And then whatever is left over, those are the things that you can delegate or you can step out of. Focus on the things that you want to do so that you can really step into that mindset shift of, oh, I need to treat my creation as a business, or whatever it is for you that you want to be doing. I think that's an activity that everybody can do to see the shift that needs to happen.
Zach, when we talked a few weeks ago, you were talking to me about adding new revenue streams and how sometimes it can feel like adding an entire new business model. What are some options for people who maybe don't have the bandwidth or the scope or the ability to add an entire new business model onto what they're already doing?
I would say one of the mistakes I commonly find creators are making is that they think too early on they need to start a whole nother business that's like product based, like let me go make an apparel line or build a food and beverage product or do this thing where I like to think of videos and content as like oranges, and then you squeeze those oranges to try to make money. And in order to actually get enough orange juice, you need to plant more oranges. And so you're constantly planting more oranges so that those can make money for you. And a lot of creators leave their oranges unsqueezed. There's like all these oranges sitting around and they're like, let me go start a food and beverage company. And it's like, whoa, you're not even thinking about syndicating your content. You're not even thinking about putting some of your BTS content behind a paywall. Like, there's a lot of money to be made on just the existing content, redistributing across, shorts platforms and using that as a top of funnel. So I think there's just a lot of low-hanging fruit that people overlook because they compare themselves to the top 1% of creators in the way that they're making money. But there's a lot of steps in order to get there. So you don't emulate the success, you emulate the process. And the process is often like using what you have and being incredibly resourceful. And the content takes an immense amount of time to make, right? Like everyone here knows that. And so really think about, how do I squeeze the shit out of these oranges and really get the juice for what they're worth because you spend so many hours making them. And I think that will also help you justify the effort that goes into it more. And those extra hours on those extra nights when you're working on that content, that it's going to go a lot further. So I would say before focusing on any other revenue streams that require a whole nother business model or require a whole nother learning curve, figure out if you've checked all the boxes of the ways that you can monetize the content that you already have made.
Amanda, there's a lot of people in the room who said they're still working 9 to 5s. What does it take and what are your observations writing about creators to take that leap from 9 to 5 to being a full-time creator?
That's a great question. I talked to a lot of creators across the board who some are content creators, but they don't make any money. Some of them make more money making content than they do at their day job, but they just kind of like their day job and they do it for fun. And then some are really trying to make that leap. I think in the beginning, it really is like a grind and a hustle of spending a lot of time on your content and setting yourself up to the point where you can eventually leave your full-time job. But it also is, like everyone said here, really like spending time on how are you going to make money? What are your revenue streams? And like Brandon said, like focusing on that, like what are my main revenue streams? What can I predict to make each month? And once that's becoming a lot more stable for you, I think it's a lot easier to make that jump. And similar to what Kevin said, like having savings and setting yourself up for success. Like he paid off all his debt and made sure that he was in a good place financially. I think it is like a risk to go freelance, so you want to make sure you're in like a secure spot. But yeah, I think it's really interesting to kind of make that leap and do that for yourself, but you shouldn't be afraid to do it. I think a lot of people are like scared because it's not the norm to not have a 9 to 5, but I think as like the years have gone on, we see that the creator economy is becoming a lot more normalized. Kids want to be creators, so it totally is a career. You just got to set yourself up for success the way you would for any other career.
I want to make sure we have time for all of you to ask questions, but I'm going to ask one question. Each of you give me your answer. Over the next 1 to 2 years, there's going to be a lot of change in this creator economy. What's your prediction? What's the new trend? What's something big that's coming up?
I think it's very important as a creator to like diversify your content, not just your income too. So we're hearing about the shorts fund coming out next year and stuff like that. I'm definitely going to focus on that. So for me personally, within the next year or two, I'm going to hire somebody specifically to create shorts while we're at practices, at cheerleading practices and competitions, creating long form content.
To be honest, I don't know. I can't predict the future. I have no clue. Instagram's changing every freaking day. Every time you blink, Instagram's like, new feature, new feature. So income streams can change just as fast because they're adding new opportunities like bonuses and Reels plays and all the things. So I think it's just kind of put into action what everybody said today is like have those multiple streams of income, because you don't know what's going to happen. We can't really predict what's going to happen, and you want your business to be as secure and stable as possible if a revenue stream gets like ripped out from under you. So just be open to what comes and evolve with all the changes. Don't refuse to evolve. Evolve as the economy and industry evolves, and I think everybody will be fine.
Yeah, I definitely think there's two sides. Like, you want to try new features, you want to jump on those new things, as we saw with like Instagram Reels. When that was new, Instagram was pushing that content, so those creators were getting a ton of views. With YouTube Shorts in the very, very early stages, YouTube was pushing that to viewers, so those creators were getting a massive amount of views. And same with like Snapchat Spotlight, those creators were making millions of dollars from filming short videos because they were the first ones to do it. But I'd also say, like, don't get overwhelmed where you think you have to jump on everything all at once and do a million things to the point where you're scattered and you're overwhelmed. It's great to try those new things, but also like make sure you're focusing on what your main platform is, and you don't have to be doing a million different types of content and being on every single platform. As long as you have your platforms, your things that you're really passionate about, like really focus on that and hone in on that.
Yeah, I think I'll go a slightly different direction. I think for me, I think the thing that's going to be most exciting is like the active income options that are coming. Like, I personally, because my background is in video production and in filmmaking, like if you see how many people it takes to make a movie, like at the end of the movie, just sit back and watch all the names that actually scroll to produce one movie. I see the creator economy kind of going that way in the form of bigger creators hiring massive teams. And I've seen it already, like Mr. Beast is hiring editors left and right. And as someone who, like, my job is also to hire editors for my team, I'm like, holy crap, if these creators are about to enter the market and start stealing up a bunch of editors, my job just got really, really freaking hard. And so I think as creators, if you are creating your own content, like, remember that, like, although yes, your goal is probably to be a content creator, you're also really improving like some skills that make you extremely valuable in the creator economy. So like, I think, like, for example, my lead editor right now who works on my team, he also has his own YouTube channel. And while he's been working with me on my YouTube channel and on my content, he's also learning what it takes to learn, like, create his own platform and to learn all these things and how to edit YouTube videos, which is totally different than editing traditional content. And so while you guys are going through those same hurdles of learning how to create your own content, you're also making yourself extremely valuable to other YouTubers out there who need your services, and they are hiring like crazy. I am hiring like crazy. So if you guys are like trying to figure out like, okay, what can I do next? Or maybe my channel's not off the ground yet, and I don't know if I can just 100%, quit my job. If you're working at a bank and then you hate it, but you probably would love editing for a big creator, then now that job opportunity is going to exist, and there's going to be tons of them. And you can learn while doing what you love, so ultimately then you can go create your own platform as well, and you can learn from the best out there. So I think the creator economy is going to create a ton of jobs, and I think a lot of really special creators are going to find those jobs and have a great time doing it.
I think my prediction would be that I think brand dollars are going to reallocate. I think we've seen a lot of brands spend money on like mid-roll and pre-roll and post-roll integrations on YouTube videos, and as things go more towards shorts, brands are realizing that they can't have an influencer marketing budget that they just pay out externally to creators just to integrate every now and then into videos. It's becoming more and more of a necessity that they need to have and own their own content. And so now what you're seeing is brands are starting to pay creators to make content for their channels, not the creator's channel. And I think we're going to see more and more of that, and creators are going to have the opportunity to actually go and work underneath a brand to be the face of a brand. And I think successful creators today can kind of actually lean into that, propose that, and find the brands that they would want to be the face of, and try to figure out opportunities where they can not only help make content for a brand and be the face of a brand, but actually use that as a platform to grow their own notoriety and audience, so that they can eventually go off and actually use that to focus on their own channel and their own content. So I would say that's the trend that I think.
You guys, you have some of the most interesting voices in the creator economy with you. Thank you for joining us. I want to open it up for some questions out in the audience. Do we want to pass the microphone around for it?
Hi, good morning, and thank you so much for your wisdom. That's amazing. Now, my niche is real estate, and for the second gentleman here in the black t-shirt, I don't focus as much as on subscribers as much as I on leads, because what YouTube will pay me will never be equal to what I make when I sell a $500,000 home. So I do a lot of model homes. Because this is all about creating multiple streams, I've been tooling with the idea of maybe opening another channel where I'm doing it for subscribers and views rather than that. But then I'm also thinking, if I do that, what my question basically is, I'm not sure, should I start new channel and do that, or just for the views and subscribers, or should I just do it for the leads, because that's been really, really good to me.
So I actually shoot for a handful of real estate agents back in my area, and I tell most of them to just focus on capturing the leads, because the amount of money that you make from real estate is going to it's going to typically surpass the amount that you'll make from YouTube views. That being said, there is something to building your personal brand. So I would still continue to, like maybe on your main channel, to keep creating content that drives more traffic to you, and then start making yourself kind of more of like an influencer in your space, and making, like, through your content, by making it entertaining but also educational, you can make yourself a leader in that industry. So now not only are you able to help sell homes, but then you'll have other real estate agents who are coming to you and they're going to ask you, how are you doing it? And that is a whole nother set of revenue that you could totally bring. And like, I work one-on-one with their agent, and that's exactly our strategy with her right now. And she's absolutely crushing it with that. I'm in Houston, Texas. Yeah, and we just went through like a crazy real estate boom and everything else. So we just crushed it. So yeah, do it.
Hello. So my question is maybe for Zach or anyone, but for niche creators, what are other ways, other than you mentioned behind the scenes, content paywall, syndicating your content, other ways of squeezing the shit out of your oranges?
I mean, it really depends on what the niche is. I would say if you're a niche creator, one of the first things that I would do is I would have a weekly Zoom call with 20 subscribers, and I would just talk, and I would ask questions, and I would ask about problems, and I would do that for like 6 weeks, every week, new 20 subscribers or people within the community. And then I think after 6 weeks, you should have enough information where it will become abundantly clear what you can offer those people to solve their problems, or to like the value that they're getting from your content, and then what you can provide them. So time to some degree is abundant, so make sure you do a little bit of that market research, and you're already to some degree, if you're a niche creator, a thought leader in that space, but really ask the people that are watching you for the thought leading direction in that space. Why do you watch me, and what value do I bring, and what should I offer you, and what is your day-to-day like, and what problem or what products do you think that I would be most have the most expertise in providing you, that will have the highest trust? You'll get a lot of answers if you can do that with 20 people every single week.
Hi everyone. When it comes to your brand deals and sponsorship, have you hired a manager? And if yes, how hard was it to find the right manager? Thank you.
So yes, I do have a brand manager. I've gone through 3, and it was hard. I mean, you can go to Google and just like look up influencer agency, influencer manager, and you really want to make sure you're finding somebody that not only is an expert in their field, but they understand you and your goals and your priorities. I think one of the things that was hard for me to find was finding somebody that didn't burn me out, and because their job is to land you more collaborations. So they're making you money, but then next thing you know, you're getting sick for 3 months and you're like, I can't do it anymore. So I think it's just really important to have those conversations with the person beforehand. And I think a good tell sign, if anybody's wondering like, oh, is it time to hire a manager? Should I be doing this? if you are currently landing paid collaborations consistently and you have a solid stream of income with collabs, then that could be a good sign like, okay, this is starting to get overwhelming for me. Now I can seek out an agent. If you aren't landing paid collabs, start doing it on your own, replying to emails, pitching, negotiating, doing what you can, joining third-party networking platforms. But really have conversations when you're looking, have coffee with them, get on Zoom calls, multiple Zoom calls, get to know them as a person and make sure that they truly understand you, you understand them, and you have that solid connection.
Yeah, I just wanted to say this because I think this is kind of the way that I would approach it if I was a creator. I would make content to the point where, as you were mentioning, brands are coming in, and once you are negotiating your own brand deals and that gets hectic, then you're like, crap, I need a manager. I would find a manager and negotiate nothing longer than a 1-year contract. So I would say, I'm going to agree to a 1-year contract. And even that should have some clauses that you can get out of. So it's very important to not get into anything with a brand manager where they have ability to take further upside in the businesses or things that you start post-contract. So be aware of the contract that you're signing with a brand manager coming from a manager. And then I actually think if I was a creator, I would not hire a brand manager after that. I would figure out how much money did my brand deals bring me in the last year, and does 10 to 20% of that constitute a full-time salary? And then I would hire someone for the 20% that I was about to pay out to that agency and build a team, because that person now becomes a specialist of your business, and you create my job as obsolete, which I think is the right thing to do in this scenario if you actually want to build that into a business. So I would do the first year, because in the first year it's going to be really hard to gauge the amount of revenue that you're going to build. But if you can do that for a year, you'll have that, and then you can get out of that agreement and then go hire someone internally to do that job, and you already kind of know what the 10 to 20% of the money that you'll bring in constitutes, and if that can warrant a full-time salary or not.
Just a follow-up question on that right here, Zach. In that case, why do you still have a job?
That's a great question. I was actually hoping that I would be able to actually answer that, because my thing has been that I'm not running, like my whole philosophy is that I don't want to just do brand deals for the creators that I work with. Like my whole thing is that I'm a strategic partner in starting businesses with the creators that I work with. I'm like a co-founder more than I am a manager. So I often think like the word manager oftentimes kind of is like constituted as like agent or brand manager, whereas I think of myself as a partner, co-founder, and like strategist. So for me, I can do the brand deals part, but I often tell my creators like, dude, this is my least favorite part. And I hope to one day we don't have to do these brand deals, because like a lot of brands can suck to work with, and the content, the creative freedom that you have in the videos is now taken away. And so even with Eric, we're like, yo, Pizzafy should grow and Creator Now should grow, and then we can just do our own businesses as our own brand deals. And then we don't have to necessarily, we can like pick the 2-3 brands that we really do actually believe in and want to build a long-term relationship with, and have the ability to do that. So that's what I want my role to be. I hope my role with all the creators that I work with is to actually never get them another brand deal again.
Quick question from a manager perspective, maybe for Zach. I manage a creator on YouTube, trying to help them grow on YouTube. I also manage a business trying to help them grow on YouTube. I often try to figure out if I should hire for myself or for the business. Does that make sense?
That's such a good question. Dude, this is like one of the biggest challenges a manager will run into is like, yeah, when you hire someone, do you hire them for the creator? Or do you hire them under your own entity? I think it depends on what the hire is doing. So if it's a creative hire, it should go under the creator. And if it's a business hire that helps the manager with the agreed upon responsibilities of the manager, then it should go under the manager's business. I'll give you an example. So I hire producers for Eric. I don't necessarily take a big lead in the content production with Eric. So producers go under Eric's P&L. However, I do still help Eric with all his brand deals. Because of that, everyone that we hire to help negotiate and operate brand deals goes under my P&L. When we agree to launch a new business together, in the early infancy stages of a business that we start together, if I'm saying, hey, the design and the branding is going to come from me, the marketing, the distribution is going to come from you, then if we have to hire someone to do the marketing and distribution, that goes under my P&L, because that's my agreed upon responsibility that I'm accountable for. So it really comes from what the parties are agreeing to the responsibilities are, and whoever's responsibility it is who pays for the hire.
Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to click the video on screen right now, because YouTube thinks you're going to love it. Let's find out if they're right.